Good morning. Thank you for being on time, and thank you for being with us this morning. It's a very special occasion and this very special place, which is the Abbé Club, for the kickoff of the Live Europe initiative. So I'll start with Dirk, the director of the Abbé. Perhaps we could start by saying, what is Live Europe?
Live Europe is... hello, everybody. Live Europe is first and foremost something about the passion for music. In this case, a passion for young emerging artists, and furthermore, the passion for young European emerging artists. So it's a platform, a getting together of 13 European music venues like AB and like-minded venues who get together with one purpose, with one aim, and that is to promote European talent, young European talent. And it's a funding mechanism to help these venues to book more acts. And we get the help from the culture program from the European Union.
So Fabien later will explain the details of the initiative, but the story is that, well, you're the man with the idea. This project started many years ago.
Yeah, it actually started in a cinema. I was on a beautiful, dreadful Belgian Sunday afternoon. I was sitting in a cinema, and before the movie started, there was this screen appearing saying, this cinema is member of the European Cinemas Network. And I thought, wow, this European Cinemas Network sounds interesting. I went on the website, looked it up, and it turned out that the European Cinemas Network is a network of cinemas to promote European movies and supported by the European Union. I thought, wow, this would be a great idea to do for concert venues as well, because this doesn't exist. So that's basically where it came from. And then soon afterwards, I met up with the good people from Rockhal in Luxembourg to discuss the idea with them. And we soon found the concept. And then we started talking to other venues, and today we're here to celebrate the start of our European Live Europe network. Yeah.
So what is your hope for Live Europe in terms of AB? What does it really change, as you've already been helping emerging artists here?
AB has always been there to promote young music. We're doing that a lot in this very club that you're in today. Even acts like Adele or Coldplay played their first ever gig in Belgium, and countless young Belgian bands had their first main gig here. So we're doing that, but we firmly believe that by getting together with European clubs, we can do more of it, and we can do it better because we will learn from each other. And so I firmly believe that Live Europe could be something that's over time will become very, very important for the European music scene.
Thank you. So now the man that will coordinate this platform, Fabien, will give us a little bit of the figures, introduce to you the partners that make this initiative real.
Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everyone. My name is Fabien Miclet, and I'm in charge of coordinating Live Europe here at AB. So I'm going to try to explain to you the functioning of our initiative in more details. First, let me explain a little bit more about the objective behind the Live Europe platform. So what we want to do is to increase the programming of emerging European talents in the field of live music, with a view to developing the careers of young European artists, but also bringing new audiences to concerts. So to achieve this, we've tried to establish a very simple concept. A group of like-minded music venues across Europe will get funding in the form of a progressive bonus system when they program emerging European acts. Basically, the more shows within the Live Europe criteria that are programmed by the members, the more funds distributed to the member venues by the coordinator. It's also important at this stage to say that this is not a curated project. The members have full autonomy in terms of programming, of course, as long as they respect the criteria. Live Europe will also be what we call a quality label for live music venues across Europe, to show that they have great standards in terms of programming mostly. In this perspective, the branding and the image aspects will be very, very important for us, and I'll come back to that later. Now, very briefly in terms of funding, so the application for funding was submitted in March 2014 to the European Commission. Live Europe was selected by the European Commission in August of this year, and now the funding will be 500,000 euros a year for the next 3 years to start with, and then for a renewable period of 4 more years. Regarding the award criteria, as you can see, there are 3 types here of eligibility parameters for the venues. These criteria are how we basically selected the venues who are part of the platform right now, and the award criteria that we will use to give them the funding. So the member venues have to be in an eligible European country. They also have to be based in an environment that is susceptible to attract European tours. They will have to commit to high quality standards, be of course well established, existing for more than 2 years, and also large enough to attract international touring artists. And finally, they should provide proof that they give a good share to emerging non-national European artists in their programs, and also to show that there's diversity in the countries represented in their programs. This is also a very important factor. Just a quick word about the notion of emerging artists. By emerging, we mean acts or bands or artists with less than 5 years of professional experience, also with less than 3 published albums, but we're still talking about acts who are committed to achieving an international music career. As you can see on this map, these are the founding members of the Live Europe platform. I'm guessing some of you in the audience will recognize some of these venues. As you can see, one of our top priorities here was to have a good geographical coverage of the European territory. But I'm just going to briefly introduce the venues one by one so you can have a better idea. Obviously, AB, the coordinator. I'm sure you're here because you are aware that AB is one of the most praised venues in Europe, thanks to the quality of its technical infrastructure, its fantastic team, its diverse and ambitious programming policy, and of course its location in the heart of the European capital, Brussels. AB will be the coordinator of this initiative, but of course AB will not carry out all the work on its own, which gives me the opportunity to introduce the other Live Europe members. First, Rockall. Rockall is the reference of live music in Luxembourg, welcoming plenty of international touring artists every year. It's a stone throw away from the French border. It's also very close to Belgium and Germany. Next is Sala Apollo, a true institution of the Spanish music landscape. It was built in the 1920s, and it's still a key venue today in one of Europe's most attractive cities, Barcelona. FZW is a top-grade concert venue based in Dortmund in the Ruhr region, named European Capital of Culture in 2010. So FZW is really based in a vibrant cultural environment. According to most, Vega is Copenhagen's finest concert hall for international acts. It was also inaugurated in the framework of the city's bid for European Capital of Culture back in 1996. Melkweg is an old milk factory in the center of Amsterdam. It is renowned for the quality and the diversity of its programming, and also for its general contribution to Amsterdam's cultural attractiveness. Blå is the cutting-edge club in Oslo. It is a reference in the Nordic live music sector. It was also built in an old factory, and it welcomes tons of international artists every year. Palace Acropolis is one of the gems of Prague's famous cultural scene. It is a multidisciplinary art space welcoming a lot of European music acts every year. Next is Circolo degli Artisti. It is a great indie music club, but also a large summer garden. It is truly a must in Rome and in the whole of Italy. A38 is an actual ship docked on the Buda side of the Danube, with 3 different spaces, including a great concert hall, of course. Le Nouveau Casino is built inside an old industrial workshop in one of the trendiest areas in Paris. It's famous for supporting both cutting-edge French and international acts. Stodola. Stodola was already very active in promoting culture during communist times. It is now the reference for live music in Warsaw and even in Poland. And finally, Village Underground. More than just a concert venue, Village Underground it is a multidisciplinary urban project built on a derelict viaduct in Shoreditch, London. So all these venues have been chosen because of their excellent reputation from all points of view, the quality of their infrastructure, their international programming, and their efforts in promoting emerging acts. All Live Europe members are represented today. They're all in the room, so I'm sure they'll be happy to answer your questions and introduce themselves once we're done with this presentation back in the Agora. Now, for your eyes only, I just wanted to show you a few visual elements of what Live Europe will look like when we launch the communication campaign. So this is just a few examples of the web page, the web applications that I'm just going to show you. As you can see, well, we hope you like it because we think it's really lovely here. So this is another web application. And yeah, just to give you a brief idea. So that's it for me. Obviously, I'm really happy to answer questions once we're done with this presentation. And yeah, back to you, Sarah.
Thank you, Fabien. That was more than a mouthful, but you've made me, and I hope others here, want to discover all the venues that you don't know yet. But none of this would be possible without European funding, and we have the pleasure of having Karel Bartak, Head of Unit of the European Creative Program at the European Commission with us. So thank you for joining us. The work that you do funding these projects is very, very important. This is how we protect and preserve culture in Europe. Why did the European Commission in your program, the Creative Europe program, want to support an initiative like Live Europe?
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, we thought, first of all, that music is very important for Europe. The musical industry is an industry which is increasing all the time and is bringing about growth and economic benefit, not only pleasure. And we thought that with the new program, we should be doing something more about it than just, bringing together 1 or 2 partners in Europe and creating small projects. We were thinking about something much more important, and that's why we came up with this idea of having European platforms. And in the area, above all, in the domain of music. So. What is the philosophy behind, above all, is that we are living in Europe in a fragmented place. We have national markets. Most of the musical acts, most of music do not cross borders. People even in neighboring countries do not know what's happening behind the border, and so on. So basically, what we wanted to achieve with this was that people get to know what's happening elsewhere. And if I make it very simple, we are going to support financially venues which would normally not take the risk to showcase this type, of emerging artists from other European countries. So that was the idea behind. We also wanted to have a platform which is very representative. And this one is exactly what achieves this goal, that we have the possibility to showcase emerging young bands and artists and acts, which normally would never, have this opportunity or would have to wait for another couple of years before they would be able to do it.
And so, talking about being sustainable, because that is the wish of a project, it starts with 3 years. But do you think that this project has the promise of being sustainable, and that 3 years from now we have hundreds of venues in the Live Europe platform?
Well, you know, there was a very fierce competition for this. For the platforms, we have selected only 5 of them this year to start with, because we really wanted to select those where we think that the sustainability element is present. So we think that there are good conditions for this project to develop. And the idea behind is that after the 3 years of funding, which Fabien just mentioned, and perhaps another period, that the projects can then continue living on its own, that the platform will, you know, take off with European money, but then will become really, you know, self-sufficient and sustainable. Yes, we hope very much. Of course, it's not going to be easy. Very few people have done something like that before in Europe. So we are going to watch very closely, and hopefully it's going to happen.
And so how do you see the role, though, in terms of the region and the local funding? Because this is a regional funding scheme that you support, but what about national and local funding for emerging artists? How would those two relate to one another, or do they?
No, we are at the European level. You know, in culture, Europe has very little competence in culture. Normally, it's a national competence. It's the member states who normally care for culture and who are responsible for funding or not funding culture on their territory. So the program which we run in Europe, and which is not big, it's 1.5 billion euros for 7 years for 28 member states, is basically supposed to do what the member states normally wouldn't do. You know, bringing culture across the borders to other places, making artists mobile, making works of art circulate around the continent, and that's the aim. And of course, we are happy if we get co-funding from national and regional sources. If we get, you know, combination of funding for projects which we are running, we would be, of course, very happy. And it happens quite often that when projects get the European label, that it's easier for them then to get sponsorship, you know, to get private or public funding. And then, of course, it's much easier for them to grow, to develop, and become really important.
Well, that's our wish for the project. Thank you, Mr. Bartak. Now we'll introduce 3 of the partners who have accepted to join us on stage and share their experience of Live Europe. So, the 3 that are going to be grilled. Olivier, I'll start with you. You represent Rock Hall in Luxembourg. And story is that Dirk came up with the idea, but that he was already talking to you many years ago about this project. Is that true, and how did that happen?
That's very true. And it started a bit more than 2 years ago, and it was very nice lunch that we were having and discussing about a common passion about you know, emerging artists, discovering bands, try and make them grow, bring them to an audience, and very quickly it became very clear that we shared that passion for doing that job. AB had been doing it for many years. We've been doing it for many years until then, and we thought, well, as Dirk explained before, maybe we can, if we can set up a whole network of other venues thinking alike, well, that can be a great thing, and maybe we can amplify the effect of the work that we do. So that being clear at some point, we thought, well, how do we do that? And the key word basically that went with all the discussions was it needs to be simple to use, because then it's going to be easy to set up, it's going to be easy to understand, and it's going to be easy to, well, basically to have the support of people who we need. So that was the key word, and then we spent another year thinking of you know, who do we want to join? And we scanned a lot of venues, and we came up, I think, with a great circle of venues, friends, thinking alike. And then it took us the second year to draft up what would be the project, what would be the detailed aims that we wanted to do. So,
talking about diversity of venues and the region and the partners that are on board founding, Susanna, you represent A38 in Budapest, known as Wikipedia says, the hippest club in Europe. How does this change for you in the work that you do programming, since you are already known for supporting emerging artists?
Well, I believe that it will help enormously. And why? Because A38 was always famous about upcoming bands. So we exist since 12 years, and the first half of these 12 years was extremely difficult for us because of lacking of network, experience, or example. Simply there were no other international music club in Budapest before us. And there were no promoters who would have experience on this level, of this club level. And we needed program in big amounts. So there was something completely new. And so upcoming bands were always extremely important for us. And I believe that this is the beauty of our profession, to discover brilliant bands that are unknown. Because, of course, you don't need too much to put very famous band in your program, especially if you have money. But to make something out of nothing, I think that's something different. And to see these bands pushed a little bit towards on their way, it's something that I think it's worth it to do this, you know. So we are, of course, extremely happy. And
what about the artists? Because that means also that it affects your audience, but what about the artists that you work with, the Hungarian bands? And
well, of course, not to talk about them, because then again, it's very rare that a Hungarian band can go for a proper tour. So if we can help them a little bit, that would be a big pleasure for us. And I believe that this project, to be a part of this network, it's very important for a country like Hungary and a place like A38, because it brings us closer to Europe, and the bands and the citizens gets closer to Europe through us too.
so the project actually goes way beyond what we call the EU, goes all the way to Norway. We've got Avon, who represents Blå, a smaller venue. How does this change the work that you do, and why is it important?
Well, for many artists, Oslo is the single Norwegian city they visit during their European tour. So for us, it's of course very important. It's crucial to be very close to the and take part of the European music scene. And being a part of this network, it shows that we are a part of something bigger, and that we are a part of Europe. And it makes the artists hopefully take that, also the young and emerging artists take that extra trip up to Oslo. And we are of course very close to the pulse of the Norwegian music scene. So we are now also looking forward to promote those bands we love and we believe in to the other members of the platform, and also to discover new bands outside the comfort zone, Scandinavia, Germany, Benelux, and also discover bands from Hungary and Czech Republic and Italy, and yeah.
Good. The Live Europe platform is not only a network of venues, but also a network of teams. Olivier, can you perhaps explain how you think that Live Europe platform will change the work on the ground of the teams?
Absolutely. You know, when I was talking about the early days before, it was very soon not only the two of us sitting together, but you know, we were joining the teams in. First of all, our bookers, because what Susanna said, it's very true. It's that shared passion for young artists that you can help grow in your market and in other markets. And so we shared that same attitude and passion with our teams on the booking part. Then very quickly it became clear that we can learn a lot of stuff from each other, like how you run the venue, how you promote, how you discover new audiences. And so pretty quickly you had a lot of people out of the team just talking to each other, exchanging ideas. And I think that's also what strengthened what we do. And it's been, you know, for all of our meetings, everybody just attends because that's how you meet good people and how you exchange experiences.
They say the future is collaboration, so that's what it is. And so the platform will be run and coordinated from Brussels with Fabien. But Dirk, so you have a bit of a responsibility because l'Ancienne Belgique will be leading that. Why here? Why Brussels? How is that important as well?
Well, the first reason why it's here is because the idea was born here, so it's kind of natural that we would be the coordinator. The second reason is that Brussels is kind of this, maybe not the center of Europe, but we like to think it's the center of Europe. It's at least it's in between some countries, and then we're very close to the European people. We're very close to all these buildings with European people in it, so it's very easy for us to communicate with them. And we believe that we need to have very short communication lines and with Europe as well. So in that sense, I guess it's normal. It's here, and then the other thing is that we're about supporting young acts, as everybody said already, but we're also about cooperation. AB likes to collaborate with other cultural institutions, as we prove with our countless collaborations with institutions in Brussels and beyond. And I'm really pleased that we can now do this on a European level and work together with these amazing venues all over Europe. And I must say personally that I've already learned a lot from talking to all these guys. So it's going to be how do you call it? A great adventure, or something like that.
Well,
yeah.
we wish you that it is all the best, and I hope that in 3 years we'll be back here introducing another 100 venues. You will receive a press kit, and it'll be emailed to you as well with all the details, and we're all available to answer any of your questions over lunch. But because it's about the music, I'm going to leave the floor to Kurt, who is the artistic director of l'Abbé, and he's going to introduce a band who has the name of Fabien and I's outfit, which wasn't on purpose, but I think is I hope a lucky sign to the initiative.
I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I've been counting my dots actually, and there are 8 dots, and actually the logo of Live Europe has 8 dots, by the way. That's one of the great examples of venues that take care about emerging talent is our Artist in Resident program. Each year our whole programmation team, our promoters team, tries to pick up a couple of bands, 3, whom we cherish, whom we try to let her walk on their own feet by giving them a stage, like giving them a rehearsal space, etc. And one of these bands that we have this year, and you're lucky to have a CD, their debut album with you, so please do listen to it at home. And you can hear some great stuff right now live, I think. Please welcome, give them a warm heart and a warm applause. Little Dots.
catching leaves of beauty that you drop on the floor as you do nothing more than existing. With your tongue between your teeth, laughing shy unpurposely, you point at me a gun that you shoot just for fun, and I gently plead. And it tastes like salt and sweet. Every day it makes me strong and weak. At the sunrise I try to deny while I'm feeding you and me. There you stand unaware of all this, so that's how it's supposed to be. I can just hope it lasts for a life without past, no history. When I close my eyes, I see you close to me, so close to me. Then your lips touch mine as I sketch in my mind the outline of a kiss. Every day it makes me strong and weak. At the sunrise I try to deny while I'm feeding you and me. I keep on waiting for the day you would hear what I don't say. It feels so far away, I'm afraid you never will. And still I need to love you in a silent way. I keep on waiting for the day you would hear what I don't say. It feels so far away, I'm afraid you never will. And still I need to love you in a silent way. And still I need to love you in a silent way. Oh, and still I need to love you in a silent way. Thank you. This next song that we're going to play is called Lost. Can't stand a friend, can't stand a lover, she can't stand my skin. Can't stand no other, can't stand a friend, can't stand a lover, she can't stand my skin. Can't stand no other, I feel lost and disconnected, unwanted and out of place, lost and disconnected, unwanted and out of place. She is never satisfied, and each day just passes by. She's lost the hunger and desire, and each day just passes by, and I feel lost and disconnected, unwanted and out of place, lost and disconnected, unwanted and out of place. People always rushing, things to do, places to be, running after happiness, running after nothing, makes me feel lost and disconnected, unwanted and out of place, lost and disconnected, unwanted and out of place, out of place, out of
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. So now we suggest that everybody meets in the Agora downstairs for a buffet. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed.
varones con 2 pares de cojones, pa' que no te falten huevos en este mundo cruel de halcones y tiburones, pa' que no te sientas sola cuando el viento viene en contra, pa' que conozcas mejor a los hombres, pa' que la vida siempre te asombre, pa' que no tengas miedo de la sombra, pa' que lo más bonito de ti florezca y tu nombre surcando el firmamento sin más destino que ser algo, que ser cielo.